Professor Romeo Orlandi, Vice President of the Italian-ASEAN Association, to give his keynote speeches. Thank you, Professor.
Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me correctly. His Excellency Sok Chen Sophia, Minister attached to the Prime Minister of Cambodia, Ambassador Lorenzo Galanti, all friends, Lorenzo, Aurelio, Carlo, President of the European Chamber of Commerce, Tassilo Brinzer, good afternoon. I'm very glad to be here to be part of this initiative and to be one of the co-organizers. Thank you for the space and dedication you give it to me and to the Italy-ASEAN Association, which was founded in 2015 with the visit of our President of Republic, President Sergio Mattarella, to the General Secretariat of ASEAN in Jakarta. At that time, President of the Italy-ASEAN Association was Mr. Enrico Letta, and I was Vice President. I'm still Vice President, but now we change our President, who happens to be Mr. Romano Prodi. Also, he is a former Prime Minister of Italy and former President of the Commission of the European Union. What do we do? Who we are? We are a private entity acting like a bridge with the Italian institutions, the Italian companies, what we call system countries, Sistema Paese in Italy, to bring more awareness of the potentiality and the possibilities of doing business or reciprocal approach with the ASEAN and the 10 different member states. What do? We do seminar or webinar, like in this case. We try to illustrate the possibilities arising from that part of the world to the Italian economic circles. We do organize an event like Ambassador Galanti mentioned before. Every year, we put together something like 300, 400 business people from Italy and the 10 ASEAN countries in host countries. We did that in Singapore, in Jakarta, and in Hanoi last time in 2019, and then COVID came, as you know. And in 2019, the Prime Minister of Italy at that time, the Prime Minister of Vietnam, and 400 Italian companies gathered together to build in trust, sharing possibilities and responsibilities, exchanging ideas, having B2B relationships. Now, the next edition will take place in Kuala Lumpur at the end of July 2022, and I hope to see you there together with the minister and together with Ambassador Galanti and the president of the Chamber, European Chamber of Commerce. Also, we published some books concerning monographies of different countries. So we did some books on ASEAN, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, and we try to do in the following years something for smaller countries like Cambodia. Now, when you say smaller countries, I follow very carefully what Minister Sok Chandra Sophia said before. Sometimes the size and the population of a country is a kind of an obstacle for investors or business people to deal with. And I share his opinion that should be a mistake in the case of Cambodia. We at the Italy-ASEAN Association are following with growing attention the potentialities and the growth of Cambodia. And I should say that Cambodia can be considered as another example of a successful story of Asian countries in this century. You know, the economic history is considering that part of the world so growing that is going to give its name to the Asian century in the century we're living with. After World War II, there was the case of Japan. Then we have the four Asian tigers, South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong and Taiwan. And then we had the experience of tiger cubs like Malaysia or Thailand, an important country of Southeast Asia. And then we had the experience of China, huge, titanic entering of China in the world arena. And then we had the case of India. Every case was a success. So the main purpose of the governments of those countries was to accelerate the defeat of the backwardness. And they were successful. You can measure this success by many parameters, by many examples: illiteracy, access to water, growing personal GDP, growing the power of each country. Cambodia, in my opinion, but I should say in the opinion of many economic circles and professors, scholars in Italy, consider one of the last example of this success. Minister said before, investment is encouraged to come to Cambodia. Yes, that was one of the key of the success of the countries I mentioned before. When you bring investment in your country, you not only bring money, which is important, you bring ideas, technology, workforce, ability to do something. And if there is an experience coming from Far East, is that the industrial acceleration, the transformation of societies from agriculture base to industrial base has been the key component of this success. In this sense, we should say that Cambodia is one of the last examples of, for Asia, entering globalization and to be a growing important part of the supply chain which is giving shape to the industrialized world. Now, it seems that according to what Minister said, Cambodia has many of the magnets attracting foreign capital and technologies, political stability, possibility of bringing back your money, repatriation of profits, a growing infrastructure network. I've been to Cambodia quite a number of times. Allow me a personal recollection of my trip to Cambodia while I was living in Singapore. It was 30 years ago, and I saw extremely different country, but I saw what the port of Sihanoukville is doing in terms of delivery of goods. Experts on globalization say there is no point in manufacturing if you are not able to distribute the goods. And this is what at the port of Sihanoukville we are witnessing every time we see it. Last thing, which is attracting the foreign capitals and foreign technology to a single country, is a growing internal market. Now, it is true that Cambodia has only 17 million people living there, but it's in the center of a growing area. It was mentioned before, 250 million people of the Mekong Basin, 650 million people of the entire ASEAN Association, and not to mention the giants of China and India, not far from Cambodia. Now, given that the success of Asian countries has been due to be part of the free trade opening to the outside world, not being afraid of importing technology for the dismal of internal technology. So openness was one of the key. The same openness can be a tool for Cambodia to enlarge its possibilities to neighboring countries. In Italy, there is a growing attention to this. Despite Ambassador Galanti mentioned before, the number of trade flows is not as big as it should be. Is not important in how many years we can reach a certain level. In my opinion, what is important is that there is a growing ground for cooperation and collaboration. Italy is, I believe, it's pretty much accepted as a, let's say, a country of bello and ben fatto, we say in Italy, nice to see and extremely done, well done. And not only Italy can contribute to the growing middle class with the consumer goods to Cambodia, but also for technology, capital goods, intermediate goods, quality. And if you see the trade flows between the two countries, there is a kind of overlapping. It seems that Italy is able to export products like textile, leather, to be finished in Cambodia and to be re-imported in Italy. This is only an example. And I'm going to conclude my short speech saying that there is no limit to the way we can improve together. I remember that the tragedy of the past has been overcome now in Cambodia. Now the country is ready to grow, to trade, to accept investment. And allow me to say that if you are going to organize that meeting in Bangkok, Ambassador Galanti and Minister, I would be glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Orlandi, for your keynote speech.